Good morning, my dear friends. In the last class, we understood by referring the provisions of registration under the GST. Now I am referring to you a new chapter, tax invoice, debit note, credit note, followed by E-Invoice, electronic invoice. I am going to conclude this chapter by inviting the attention on the part of e-way bill, electronic way bill, e-way bill, which is very important from the exam point of view. Now you refer tax invoice. What do you mean this? How to understand this tax invoice? For availing the ITC, a supplier should be a registered person and should not opt composition scheme and issue tax invoice which containing seller name, seller address, seller registration number, buyer address, buyer registration number under the GST should be disclosed in the invoice along with nature of the, namely description of the goods, quantity of the goods, rate per unit if any, value of the goods. The goods should have to have the HSN code, harmonized system of nomenclature. I will explain to you now. If the supply of services, there must be SAC, service accounting code in the invoice, and the tax portion should be displayed separately in the invoice. Sir, how to understand this? I will explain to you and all. Now, if there is a case, such an invoice issued by the supplier to the recipient is entitled to claim input tax credit if any. And moreover, the tax invoice concept, not a new concept for us. When we referred a concept called time of supply, where we understood time of supply, where if the supplier of the goods supplied the goods where the supply involves movement of the goods, as per section 31, subsection 1, clause A, the invoice should be issued before the movement of the goods or at least at the time of dispatch of the goods. Have you understood on that? And a new thing, there with us. Look on the screen, already covered under the time of supply chapter. Look on the screen. Sir, if the goods supplied, sir, does not involve movement of the goods, is it so? Yes, sir. In that case, issue the invoice before sale or the time of sale. Understood or not? The same point is there on the screen. Movement of the goods or no movement of the goods, as the case may be. One part clearer? Coming to the point. When you refer the services, hey, Mr. Supplier of service, you should issue the invoice under section 31, subsection 2. Within 30 days from the date of the completion of supply service. Somewhere we understood this. Time of supply. Have you understood or not? What is the time of supply for supply of services? Forward charge apply. Quickly forward. Tell me. Time of supply for supply of services. Forward charge apply. What is the time of supply? Date of invoice or the date of payment, whichever is earlier. If the invoice issued within 30 days from the date of the completion of service. If the invoice not issued in accordance with section 31, section 2, namely within 30 days issue panle, no problem. In that case, the time of supply we understood. Date of completion of service or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Have you understood or not? So that concept lifted from here only. For invoice, a service provider should issue the invoice within 30 days from the date of the completion of service. If not, last day to issue invoice, 30th day of the from the following 30th day after completion of the service. 30th day is clear. Sir, in case of banking company, NBFCs, if they comes into picture, the 30 days time period for them extended to 45 days. Namely, a banking company or a financial institution, NBFC, a mutual fund company, for example, if issue the services, provide the services, issue the invoices, for them the time limit to issue the invoice 45 days from the date of the completion of supply of service. If so, that invoice date is relevant for our time of supply. Already we covered. Got the clarity, my dear friends? Further, you are understanding what I am saying? You got my point? Invoice, when should be issued? Invoice, when should be issued? Is the point correct? In case of supply of goods, supply involves movement of the goods on or before movement of the goods. Issue the invoice. If supply does not involve movement of the goods, issue the invoice on or before supply, namely sale. Have you got my point? Coming to supply of services, when should issue the invoice? Within 30 days from the date of the completion of supply of service. In case of banking company, NBFC, issue the invoice within, speak out, I say, 45 days from the date of the completion of service, because these are the points are merit for our MCQs. Compulsory question in the coming exam of CA, CMA, CS Executives. You get my point? Say, at least, have you understood what I am saying? என்ன அர்த்தம்? நான் பசங்க கூப்பிட்டுவேன், அவ்வளோதான். சார் நீங்கள் வந்து பாருங்க சார் பசங்க, நான் கொஞ்சம் உட்கார போயிடு. Active, proactive, speak out, fight with me by maintaining the distance with regard to subject. அப்படியே கம்முன்னு உட்கார என்ன தெரியுமா, தூக்கம் தான் வரும். You have to speak out. It's clear. I am coming for you for long distance or not, and you also coming from the various places or not. What purpose? To get the subject in such a manner that once I complete the class, subject should be in kaikulli. आपके मुट्ठी में होना चाहिए. It should be in your pidikili. That means it should be in your hand. What I am referring, tax invoice. I give the importance, without which the recipient cannot avail ITC. Now I am asking a doubt. I am a composition taxpayer. I am a registered person. I am a trader. Am I eligible to issue tax invoice, my supply of goods, my supply of services? Yes or no? Say yes or no. I cannot, man. I cannot issue tax invoice. Who am I? Composition taxpayer. Can I issue? No. Hey, mister, have you not understand? When you refer the section 10, subsection 1, followed by section 10, subsection 2, section 10, subsection 2, capital A of the CGST, where a trader, a manufacturer, or a restaurant fellow whose aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year does not exceed 150 lakhs. For few states, does not exceed 75 lakhs. For a service other than restaurant, does not exceed 50 lakhs. They are eligible to opt composition scheme. If so, they should not collect the tax from the recipients. Am I right or not? They should not issue tax invoice. Then what they should issue for their supply? I told that time, bill of supply. Speak out, please. Bill of supply. Bill of supply should be issued by the supplier who opted the composition scheme. This question definitely going to come in the exam. Already appeared in the last exams. A composition taxpayer should issue dash for their supply. 1. A. Tax invoice. B. Bill of supply. C. Debit note. D. Credit note. You have to say bill of supply. As simple as that. Now please come back. Furthermore, presenting here. Sir, what do you mean by E-Invoice then? How the E-Invoice different from tax invoice? How E-Invoice different from tax invoice? What is the importance of the E-Invoice? Sir, first and foremost, understand E-Invoice, electronic invoice, is not applicable to all taxpayers. It is applicable presently for a coming exam of May 2025 CA Inter onwards, or June 2025 CMA Inter onwards, or CS Executive June 2025 exam onwards. Here they given limit of a taxpayer turnover limit in the preceding financial year exceeded how much? Exceeded how much? 5 crores. 5 crores means what? 500 lakhs. Exceeded, not equal also. Exceeded 5 crores, then only for you being a taxpayer, you have to issue tax E-Invoice, not a tax invoice. Sir, is there any difference between the tax invoice and E-Invoice? Generally speaks, the information contained in the tax invoice remains same in the E-Invoice also. But in the E-Invoice, there is two more things takes place. One is called as QR code, namely quick response code, followed by IRN, invoice reference number. Speak out. Invoice reference number. Other one is QR code, quick response code. You get my point, sir? These two thing extra. Sir, we want to know how this invoice look like. I am presenting here right now. Just look and understand the invoice with the format. When you refer, my dear, here. Look here. Is visible? Is visible? Actually, what I mentioned here, heading what? Tax invoice. Here, Mr. Supplier of the goods or services, your turnover exceeded 5 crores, how much, sir? Then for you, E-Invoice mandatory. Is clear? Then how to issue the invoice, sir? Don't worry, I am telling you, listen. First and foremost, you prepare the tax invoice as usual. You know tax invoice how to prepare? I know, sir. Tax invoice containing here the seller name, buyer name, seller registration number, buyer registration number, and the HSN code for the supply of goods. You get my point? Invoice number, invoice date. You get my point? It is interstate supply or intrastate supply. In the given case, applicable what? CGST, SGST. The CGST is shown separately in the invoice. That means tax shown in the invoice. Therefore, it is called what? Dash. It's called what? Tax invoice. I know how to prepare this, sir. Prepare it. After that, what you have to do here is, look here. There is government portals. There are, here I mentioned 6 portals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 portals are there. Any portal you can take. If everyone, all taxpayers log into one portal, portal will become jam pack. Server down. To avoid this, there are 6 portals are there. Here, https oblique E-Invoice 1 dot gst dot gov dot in. Like that, remaining all remain same except 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Numbers won't change. Log in any portal. I log in, sir. Log in, very good. There, whatever tax invoice you prepared, no, you upload it. Tax invoices, you upload. Soft copies upload. I uploaded, sir. It is processed. Processed, sir. Sir, output came, sir. Came, what came? Sir, output came like this, sir. Here, if you refer, you understand. Output came like this, sir. Oh, that means we got a QR code. Quick response code followed by IRN number is there, na? Which is not there in the tax invoice. After processed E-Invoice, then E-Invoice generated. Soft copy generated. Sir, what are the use, sir? What for we generate, sir? Tax invoice already existed, sir. Why separately invoice should be there, sir? Because my turnover exceeded 5 crores, I have to go for E-Invoice, and there is any merit for E-Invoice. Absolutely. Hey, Mr. Taxpayer, lot more benefit you have. It is in your favor when introduced. What are the benefits, sir? Coming to normal taxpayer issuing the tax invoice where E-Invoice not there, what is the situation? I will explain to you. Sir, as you are aware of that, we have a taxpayer to pay the GST, we have GST R1. What is it is the return GST R1 form, I will say that here, form GST R1 is nothing but output tax of a taxpayer for a tax period. Is clear? What do you mean this? For example, here X Limited sold 1st April 2025 rupees 2 lakh worth of the goods, 2 lakhs worth of goods to Mrs. Y Limited, which is GST at the rate of 18% because it is interstate supply. Is clear? Like that is one point. Like that, a second point. Second point. On, let us say, 20th April 2025, sold goods for rupees 5 lakh, interstate supply, CGST here 9% and SGST 9%. Like that, if there are, likewise, there are 200 transactions took place in the month of April, which is nothing but tax period. Tax period means the period for which you are going to pay the tax. Is clear, my dear friends? Now, 200 transactions took place likewise in the month of April. 200 supplies I made, 200 different type of buyers are there. I am the seller. I issue the tax invoices, not e-invoice. Then what happened, you know, my dear? In the GSTR 1 return, in the GSTR 1 return, form GSTR R1, which is a monthly return for a tax period of April, I have to show output tax. That means I have to say that outward supply 1, serial number 1, invoice number, invoice date, the GST number of the buyer, thereafter description, the name of the buyer, then the value, the GST. Like that, I have to manually open the network portal, GST network portal, GSTN, and by login my particular web page, namely called as, by using my login ID password, if I enter into network portal, GST1 return says that in the month of April, how many supplies you made? 200 supplies you made, 200 invoices are there. All the 200 invoices, you have to disclose separately, as long as the transactions is a business to business. Sir, 200 now, okay sir. Okay, we can type it. If it is 2000 transactions in that month, going on, you type. If you type so, even in the night when you slept, you will be like this only. Yes or no? To avoid this clerical job, the government, upon the recommendation of GST Council, introduced E-Invoice. If your transaction in a month, 20,000 transactions, how many? 20,000 sales you made, for example, my dear. Don't worry. For 20,000 sales, you might have been raised the tax invoice. That tax invoice you processed where? In the particular portal. In this particular portal, here is given you for concern in this portal. The 6 portals, no? In that you process. System will take care. Just upload. Soft copy, upload. All the invoices. System will going on, will process it and giving you QR code for each invoice. For each invoice, IRN number. What is the use? These all invoices, what you processed E-Invoice portal will auto-populated in the GSTR 1 return, which you not required to type. You got one benefit? Yes or no? The second benefit, I told you the beginning of the class today, I am going to take up after E-Invoice, E-Way bill. E-Way bill is mandatory for the goods transport by road. If the value exceeds rupees 50,000, the transporter should carry along with him E-Way bill. On account of non-submission of E-Way bill, on account of defective E-Way bill, on account of misuse of E-Way bill provisions, your goods are liable to detain, seizure takes place if the goods are during transit. E-Way bill not provided to the transporter who carry the goods by road. Resultantly, there is a penalty under section 129 of the CGST, which is 200% of the tax amount. How much? 200% tax amount. Non-submission of E-Way bill. If you processed E-Invoice, E-Invoice not only updating auto-populating manner in the GST 1 return, but also it generates EWB 01 E-Way bill for you for the given case. Got the clarity, sir? Auto generates. And not only that, one copy of E-Invoice, after generation of E-Invoice, after having QR code and the invoice reference number, the E-Invoice automatically will send to the registered mail ID of that buyer. Seller only processing, bro. When he sell a process e-invoice completed, the e-invoice portal knows who is the buyer because supplier given the buyer GST number. So link to the GST number, what is the registered email ID of that buyer? Automatically to his mail ID, one invoice copy will go. Thereby, for availing ITC by the buyer, one of the requirement, there must be tax invoice in hand for the buyer. Invoice copy already there in the buyer email. Get my point, sir? These are all the benefits we have. Therefore, e-invoice in such case very much important. And finally, practically I am telling you, be careful. To claim input tax credit by the recipient, if the recipient procure the goods, for example, from a supplier, where the supplier is a registered person and also turnover exceeds 5 crores, for him, e-invoice mandatory. Is clear? Such a supplier, instead of issue the e-invoice to his buyer, he issue only tax invoice. Can the buyer avail the input tax credit? No. It is a waste paper in the hands of the buyer. E-invoice mandatory for a supplier, but he issued a tax invoice. You get my point? And the same shown in the where? Network GSTR1 also. In spite of that, the recipient cannot avail the ITC because the recipient wanted to have e-invoice because it is a mandatory to issue by supplier. If the supplier did so, the recipient cannot avail the ITC. Are you getting my point, sir? So, importance of e-invoice only I referred so far. Now, you said how much turnover for e-invoice? 5 crore. Loudly? I muted. What I muted? No mute here. எங்கம்மா நான் மியூட் பண்ணிருக்கேன் ராஜா, மியூட்டே பண்ணலையே. கேக்குதாப்பா எல்லாருக்கும்? Yes or no? Online students, now கேக்குதாப்பா? Very good, very good. So now please. அதுக்கே மியூட் ஆகி போகுது, நான் மியூட்டே பண்ணல, நான் இது மியூட் பண்ணுவேன். Now listen my dear friends. Now the point here is very clear. E-invoice mandatory only when the turnover exceeds 5 crores. Okay. Now is aggregate turnover on a basis. How we did aggregate turnover for what we can call it registration in the last class we referred, no? 10 lakhs for MMMT. MMMT means Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura. Turnover limit aggregate on how much? 10 lakhs for registration. For PT Uma say 20 lakhs. Other states say for supply of goods 40 lakhs. Services say 20 lakhs. Both na remains 20 lakhs. For that aggregate turnover, which includes, which excludes additional or not, same is applicable here also. Aggregate turnover. Clear? Now, here I would like to bring to a notice two things. How to determine aggregate turnover? Sir, I have a unit in Andhra Pradesh. I have a unit. My name is Ram Limited. Ram Limited has two units. One in Andhra Pradesh, one in Tamil Nadu. Andhra Pradesh turnover 3 crores. Tamil Nadu turnover 4 crores. Separate registered. Now, for RAM Limited, E-Invoice mandatory or not? Mandatory? Yes, there you are correct. Reason? Aggregate turnover 3 crores plus 4 crores is equal to 7 crores, which is exceeded 5 crores. Therefore, E-Invoice mandatory for RAM Limited of Andhra Pradesh unit, for RAM Limited of Tamil Nadu unit also. Is clear? Now, I have a doubt. Sir, my turnover not exceeded 5 crores, sir. Total turnover 4 crores, sir. How much? Aggregate turnover only 4 crores, sir. In that case, for me, E-Invoice mandatory? No. Now, I want to go to issue E-Invoice voluntarily. Can I do so? No. Excellent. Hats off to the answer. Voluntarily, E-Invoice not applicable. If your turnover exceeds 5 crores, no other option unless until you have to show E-Invoice. No other option. Not exceed 5 crores, sir. It not applicable to the sir. Is it clear? Now I am bringing to a notice such a E-Invoice not applicable for the class of taxpayers, certain class of taxpayers notified by the government upon the recommendation of the GST Council, even though the turnover exceeded 5 crores, such class of persons, such class of taxpayers not required to go for issuance of E-Invoice, meaning thereby E-Invoice not applicable category irrespective of the turnover. Who are they? Referring, very important exam point of view. 1. A special economic zone unit. A special economic zone unit. What do you mean this? I will explain to you. Says, I will explain to you. But if you are a special economic zone developer, you are a special economic zone developer. For you, E-Invoice applicable if the turnover exceeds 5 crores. Sir, I am a special economic zone unit, sir. My turnover 8 crores, sir. For you, E-Invoice not applicable. Then how to understand the concept of special economic zone unit? How differ from special economic zone developer? I will tell you, my dear, if you are able to refer here, I will tell you here. See, look here. This is the area. Look here. Now listen. This is a designated area declared by the government by giving license, saying that this area is called as Special Economic Zone, SEZ. Sir, here there is one company. One company is here. Look here, one company. Is a company. Let us say the name of the company here is X Limited. This special economic zone where located, for example, we call MEPS also, Madras Export Processing Zone in Chennai. Is clear? A designated area it is. A specifically identified mark as a separate area. Now, if I supply the goods, see, who am I? Let us say Raman Limited, Chennai. From here, being a supplier, seller, he is the buyer, seller and a buyer. In that case, goods are moving from Chennai, Ram Limited, Chennai place to the place of, in a particular truck, in a truck, goods are moving. That means seller supplied the goods to a unit of SCZ. This supply treated as export of goods. என்னப்பா அது? Export of goods. புரிஞ்சுக்கோங்க. Sir, one more company here, sir, which is Lakshman Limited, located Mumbai, sir. Who purchased the goods, sir? He is a buyer, sir. Purchased the goods from whom? From a X Limited. He purchased the goods being a buyer. Then it is called as import of goods. Now, if the goods are imported, GST department not going to levy the GST. Department of Custom will levy the GST. Department of Custom will levy the custom duties along with the IGST. Sir, why it is so, sir? Because one should understand special economic zone unit, special economic zone unit is a separate island within the territory of India. You got my point? Though physically located in India, special economic zone unit is declared as technically, logically outside India. Though physically in India. Reason that special economic zone unit is a separate island within the territory of India. Supply the goods to special economic zone unit or supplies from special economic zone unit, we call it as export, if not import. Is clear, my dear friends? Then what about special economic zone developer? Here I will say that this particular X Limited is dash a unit of SCZ. Is clear? Now goods are moving from Chennai Ram Limited to SEZ and goods are coming from X Limited SEZ unit to Mumbai. Now, within the premises of SEZ is a special economic zone. In this, infrastructure developed, who constructed the X Limited building, who laid the roads inside of the SEZ unit, who provided water facility, who provided the drainage facilities, who provided electricity facilities, infrastructure developed by companies within the SEZ, we call it as a SEZ developer. So, SEZ developer. Who is a SEZ developer? Means the person who is developing the infrastructure in SEZ. You get my point, sir? For example, here, one company, Sky Limited, is nothing but SEZ developer. Is clear, my dear friends? Now the point of E-Invoice. X Limited turnover 8 crores. How much? X Limited turnover how much? 8 crores. Where X Limited located? In SEZ, which is a unit of SEZ. For X Limited, E-Invoice not applicable. Is clear? Whereas Sky Limited, which is the developer of SEZ, their turnover is 6 crores. For them, E-Invoice mandatory. Is clear? If the supplier being a unit of SEZ, supplier is a being unit of SEZ, E-Invoice not applicable. If the supplier being a developer of SEZ, then E-Invoice applicable if the turnover exceeds 5 crores. Is clear, my dear friends? Now, clarification came out from the desk of CBIC, the given case. I said SEZ is a unit of X Limited is a unit of SEZ. Is clear? Now, X Limited has 2 units. ஏம்பா கேக்குறீங்களா இல்லையா சார்? சொல்லலாமா சொல்லக்கூடாதா? Shall I wait to discuss by yourself? Now, இங்க பார்ப்பா. இங்க X Limited has 2 units. What are the places? 1. Unit A in SEZ and unit B in non-SEZ. Non-SEZ is to be called as a simple to say domestic tariff area, DTA. Nothing but a non-SEZ we call it. See this area, we are now here in T Nagar, Raman Street. You tell me, is it DTA or is it a SEZ? What is it? Is a DTA. What is DTA? Speak out. Domestic tariff area. Domestic tariff area. Thank you, sir. Domestic tariff area. Now, from DTA to SEZ, supply the goods, supply the services is called dash. Export of goods or export of services. From SEZ, goods procured by a DTA unit in India, SEZ also in India, is dash import of goods, if not import of services. Is it clear? Got the clarity? Now, coming to E-Invoice. Here, X Limited has 2 units, unit A in SEZ and unit B in domestic tariff area. SEZ unit turnover, let us say 2 crore. Is clear? And DTA unit turnover is 4 crore. How much? 4 crore. Aggregate, how much? 6 crore. Now, in that case, tell me, E-Invoice mandatory or not mandatory to X Limited? Not mandatory? As a whole not mandatory? As a whole not mandatory? No. Sorry, my dear sir. Clarification given by CBSE by saying that aggregate turnover exceeded 5 crores because 6 crores. E-Invoice mandatory for X Limited. For the non-SEZ units. You get my point? E-Invoice mandatory. To whom mandatory means domestic tariff area unit. For that unit of X Limited, E-Invoice mandatory. For SEZ unit of X Limited, E-Invoice not applicable. Got the clarity? So I will present here by saying that unit A, listen first, listen, SEZ unit, E-Invoice not applicable. Is clear? Is clear? Is clear? However, DTA unit of X Limited, E-Invoice is mandatory. This is a way in which clarification given by the CBSE. You get my point? You have to understand the distance learning mode students. You cannot ask the doubt whenever you like because the flow of the class will get affected. Definitely I will clarify the doubt. Only at appropriate time, not then and there like a live class students. For live class students, then and there you can ask the doubt. Learning distance students, difficult. For me, the flow of my lecture will affect. All of you understand this point? Now ask the doubt. I will give the time to ask the doubt.
Here speaks in definition about the.
Hello, brother. Wait. You wait. First, one madam called me, na? Please ask the doubt. One by one. எங்கம்மா சொல்லுங்கம்மா கேளுங்க டவுட்
Clarified, sir.
clarified. No, that's why I told you wait. Very good. Next, you tell me, bro. Now ask doubt. Next one. Definition. Said no? Tell me.
So here speaks about the definition of e-invoice, not aggregate.
Definition of e-invoice. There is no definition for e-invoice. First of all. Next.
So it is applicable, is mandatory or not? Speaking about e-invoice, not aggregate.
I am not talking about definition of e-invoice. Point number one, very clear, because there is no definition for e-invoice. E-invoice became mandatory if the turnover exceeded 5 crores. How to identify the turnover? I will take the help of section 2, subsection 6 of the CGST, aggregate turnover. The same concept what we understand under the registration chapter is mutative. Mutant is applied here also. There I said it includes all, including interest and deposits, but does not include dash. GST taxes does not include dash. Inward supply on which RCM applied. That's it. What is your doubt? If no doubt, further referring, my dear friends, come back. So, I refer so far, E-Invoice not applicable, one case. Tell me what is the case? Special loudly you have to speak. No, what is this? This many students are there. See, if I put this in a video class, this video lecture, I'm going to upload. Sometimes, if I like, those who are listeners should say, "Wow, Rafi Sir class, 500 students are sitting in the class." அந்த இம்ப்ரெஷன் வர வேணாமா? எல்லாமே எக்ஸ்போசர்ஸ், ஜிக்னா ஒர்க். People running behind the jigna work, not quality of work. We have the quality. Why not jigna work? Tell me, E-Invoice is applicable if the turnover exceeds dash limit 5 crores. This is not apply for a class of taxpayer. Tell me, a unit of special economic zone. E-Invoice not applicable. However, special economic zone developers, for them, non-applicability of E-Invoice not applied. Meaning, E-Invoice applicable for special economic zone developer if the turnover exceeds 5 crores. Is clear? One point clear. Next point. All type of government departments. All type of government departments. E-Invoice not applicable. Local authorities, E-Invoice not applicable. Greater Chennai Corporation, turnover thousands of crores. So what? E-Invoice not applicable. GST department, E-Invoice not applicable. Income tax department, E-Invoice not applicable. Further, they given a clarification by saying that here E-Invoice also be not applicable if a person being an insurer, insurance company, or a banking company, or a financial institution, thereafter goods transport agency, passenger transportation business provider, or multiplexes, namely cinema theaters. For all these categories, E-Invoice not applicable. What are they? One, government entities. Second one, government agencies. Thereafter, two, local authority. Three, insurance companies. Four, banking companies. Five, NBFCs, non-banking financial companies. Six, goods transport agency. Seven, supply of transportation of passenger business, followed by multiplex theaters, cinema theaters. If I ask you a doubt, Indian Railways aggregate turnover 5,000 crores, for example. E-Invoice mandatory? Why not mandatory? They are government. Excellent. Indian Postal Department turnover 1 lakh crores. E-Invoice not mandatory. Further, my dear friends. So the question in the examination point of view is relevant. What is relevant means? Explain the importance of E-Invoice and also enumerate E-Invoice not applicable entities. You get my point? This question, if I am the examiner, definitely will set the paper for 5 marks. Is clear? So further, they given here clarification whether E-Invoice is applicable for supplies made by a registered person whose turnover exceeds the prescribed threshold limit for generation of E-way bill, E-Invoice, to government departments. Sir, my name is Raja Ram. My turnover 8 crores. For me, E-Invoice mandatory, correct? But when I supply the goods to, let us say, GST department, I supply the goods to GST department. Furniture is supplied. You get my point, sir? For 5 lakh rupees. No, in that case, E-Invoice applicable to Raja Raman or not? Yes. Being a government supplier, E-Invoice not applicable. Government recipient, from supplier point of view, supplier turnover only we have to refer. Supplier turnover only we have to refer, which is exceeded 5 crores. In that case, in the given case, generally E-Invoice applicable for him. Is clear? Clarification. Government departments or establishment, government agencies, local authorities, public sector undertakings which are required to deduct TDS at source as per the provision of section 51 are liable for compulsory registration in accordance with the section 24. Okay, registration we already did this point. Further, therefore, government departments or establishment or government agencies, local authorities, PSUs registered solely for the purpose of deduction of tax at source are to be treated as registered persons under GST law as per the provision of GST. Accordingly, the registered person whose turnover exceeded the prescribed threshold limit for generation of E-Invoice is required to issue E-Invoice for the supplies made to such government departments, government agencies. Now the point comes into picture. Why this circular came into picture? Generally, E-Invoice also not applicable if a supplier whose aggregate turnover exceeded 5 crores but supplied the goods to, supplied the services to unregistered person. If the goods supplied to unregistered persons, presently E-Invoice not applicable for the given transaction, meaning thereby the supplier who is required to issue the E-Invoice and issuing the E-Invoice also, but he supplied one transaction or two transactions or three transactions to a recipient. The recipient is basically unregistered person. If so, such transaction supplier not required to issue E-Invoice. I will put differently, practically, logically, finally we answer it. My name is Geetam Restaurant. Geetam Restaurant. My turnover 8 crores. But all I supplying to whom? To individuals who are coming and eating and going away or taking away the parcels. All of them are end users, customers, unregistered persons. Geetam is asking, hey Mr. CA, CMA, CS, please advise me, for me, E-Invoice mandatory or not? For you, E-Invoice mandatory only when you supply the goods or services to a registered person. Since you are supplying here to a registered person, for that case, E-Invoice not required. You get my point? Then the Geetam asking, sir, I made a supply to Bharatwaj Institute, registered person, sir. A B2B transaction, sir. For that, you want to issue E-Invoice because E-Invoice mandatory for you. But whoever may be supplying the goods or services to end users, namely unregistered persons, especially in the given example, B2C transaction, E-Invoice presently not applicable. Do you get my point? Got my point? Meaning thereby, you not required to generate IRN number for that. You can generate the quick reference code for reference purpose. You get my point? Any difficulty after this? No difficulty. Then coming to the content of e-invoice or tax invoice. As I told you, there must be harmonized system of nomenclature, HSN. There must be HSN in your invoice. What do you mean by HSN? I will refer here. HSN means my dear sir, the name of the product. Sometimes if I named with the name may be duplicate. If I say rice has so many types: basmati rice, idli rice. Get my point, sir? Now, how to differentiate the products with a crystal clear clarity? Assign the number. Number cannot be duplicate. Am I right? If I say, hey Mr. Ram, you please answer this. In the class, if I say, there are 4 Rams are sitting in the class. Got confusing. Sir telling to whom? If all the 4 Rams, if I given number, Ram 1, Ram 2, Ram 3, Ram 4. Hey Ram 4, you answer means perfectly will answer. Correct or not? Likewise, numbering is allotting by classifying the goods is called as harmonized system of nomenclature. Then you can ask me, hey Mr. Rafi, you are bluffing us or what? You said HSN, harmonized system of nomenclature. Harmonized system, harmonity means equality. But you are telling assigning a number. How assigning a number will become a harmonity? Harmonization of nomenclature, how will come into picture? Hey mister, listen to me. In the given case, harmonization means equality. Equality among what? Among the member countries of WTO, World Trade Organization, where the India also is a member country, where while trading internationally, to avoid duplication of the name of the product, uniformly, unanimously, all the members countries of WTO accepted a uniform coding 90004010, like that 8 digits coding has been accepted. If I say, for example, in the given case, you see, in the given case, here, if I say 62 followed by 13 instead of 621390. How many digits are there? 6 digits are there. Correct? Which is assigned to a product. In the given case, assume a scenario, handkerchief for the given product, handkerchief product 62136090. Like that, assign the number. All member countries of WTO globally, handkerchief means they won't say handkerchief, they will say 621390. You may be in Singapore, Malaysia, Ethiopia, or USA, Uganda, or in India. You get my point? It's a uniform coding. From where you can get this coding, sir? Under the customs law we have Customs Tariff Act 1975. There, these codings can be able to extract. Hey, Mr. Taxpayer and GST law, your turnover exceed 5 crores? Yes, sir. E-Invoice mandatory, sir. You must mention in your tax invoice, which is going to be uploaded in the E-Invoice portal to generate the E-Invoice, must be 6-digit harmonized system of nomenclature should be disclosed in the invoice. You get my point? If that is not there, that invoice cannot be accepted as a whole good. Here, in the given case, can you identify the HSN? Huh? What is mentioned here? Huh? Tell me what digit number mentioned here? Where mentioned? Huh? One? எந்த சைடில் இருக்குமா? ஜிஎஸ்டி நம்பர் இருக்கு, அது கீழே ருபீஸ் 4,000 எங்கம்மா? எனக்கு கண்ணு தெரியுது ராஜா, நீ சொல்லுமா. எஸ் எஸ் தேர் தேர் ஆஃப்டர் எனக்கு சென்ட்ரல் அங்கே தான் இருக்கணும். எனக்கு தெரியுது கண்ணுக்கு, ஆனால் உங்களுக்கு பார்க்க சொல்கிறேன் நான். ஆமாம், HSN, harmonized system of nomenclature. How many digits are there? 4 digits are there. Now it has been revised. Minimum how many should be there? 6 digits. If not there, what is going to happen, sir? That invoice, defective invoice, the recipient cannot avail the ITC, and moreover the supplier is a violation of the issuance of invoice, therefore liable to pay penalties. Get my point? HSN code, that much important. Now, more than 5 crores turnover, how many digits of HSN should be there in the invoice? 6. Up to 5 crores turnover, how many digits means? 4 digits. Sufficient. Sir, I made a supply to uninsured person, sir. My turnover not exceeded 5 crores and supply to uninsured person, sir. For you, not mentioning of HSN, accepted. You get my point, sir? The only exemption is given to the registered person having turnover up to 5 crores is that they need not mention HSN code in the tax invoice in respect of supplies made to unregistered person. Is it clear, my dear friends? Have you got it? The same is applicable for supplier of service also. For supplier of service, SAC code, service accounting code we used to call, service accounting code. Mentioning of service accounting code in the invoice, tax invoice, mandatory. 6 digits only available. Got the clarity? Further, important points. What are the points I referred, my dear? Tell me. Tax invoice I referred. Thereafter, E-Invoice I referred. Not applicable case I referred. E-Invoice thereafter. HSN code I referred. These are the points. Is clear? Now, can I issue a consolidated invoice for my supplies? Can I issue consolidated invoice for my supply? The law here says yes. In a peculiar case, when means supplier should not be supplier is a banking company, NBFC? Yes. If so, you can issue one consolidated tax invoice month-wise to the recipient. Sir, after all, an ordinary person, as an individual, my bank transactions, bank made supply to me when I issue the check, another check. When I submit checks, they credited my account. Like that, there are 250 transactions in the month of April. 250 times banker should issue the invoice to you or what? Unfortunate. No. Hey banker, issue to Rafi one invoice for the entire month transaction. Entire month transactions, you can issue one invoice. Is clear? That means concerned invoice. For others, others are considered, the law of the land says, being a taxpayer, you must issue. Being a taxpayer, you must issue each transaction a separate tax invoice. Being a taxpayer, you must issue a separate tax invoice for each transaction. When, sir? When you supply to registered persons. When I supply to registered persons. Are you getting my point? B2B invoices, irrespective of the value, separate invoices for each transaction. You get my point, sir? Further, sir, I made a supply to a particular registered person, rupees 120 value of supply. Am I required to issue tax invoice or not? Yes or no? Yes, because who am I? A registered person. To whom I issued a? To a registered person. Meaning what? B2B. As long as B2B, so long supply not a banking NBFC, irrespective of the value, I should issue dash a separate invoice for each transaction. Are you getting my point? Get my point? Sir, I supply the goods, sir, registered person, sir, to unregistered person, sir. How much worth of the goods supplied? Sir, I supply the goods worth rupees 300, sir. Meaning more than 200 worth of the value of the goods you supplied. Like that, I supplied 2 or 3 times, sir. Is it so? Yes, sir. Then also separate invoices. Then when concerned invoice will come, sir? Only when a registered person supplied goods or services to unregistered person in a day, not exceed rupees 200, then only for all those supplies for the day, one consolidated invoice can be issued. Example, sir, I'm a CMA student, sir, also pursuing the CA, sir, also I'm pursuing the CS, sir. So I wanted to have early morning 4 o'clock to start my preparations. I want to have a cup of tea. You look there for the tea. I am here. Rafi tea stall. Chai. Rafi tea stall. You came 4 o'clock. One chai I given to you. How much? 20 rupees. Because specialty it is. Listen. Thereafter, after having the breakfast, again you came to my same shop. One more chai. 20 rupees. Evening, 6 p.m. for refreshment of your studies and all. Again you came for the want of chai. 20 rupees. In a day how much? Not exceeded? To whom I supplied? Anisha person. For the entire day, one invoice can issue. What type of invoice? Consolidated tax invoice can be issued. Because supply Anisha person. Get my points? That's it. With that, further moving on to the points further here, referring for your kind consideration. Important points somewhere I referred na? Here, yes. Look here. My dear friends, practically you come across sometimes the good buyers, good recipients is to pay the payment in advance. You get my point? Payment in advance. For supply of goods, I receive advance payment. I am a supplier of new model cell phone, fully artificial intelligence cell phone it is. AI. I am a supplier. I started to supply from 1st of May 2025. Today, April, the buyer booking that by making the full payment. April month, full payment made to purchase that product in the month of May, because the product I am going to release in the month of May only. Now you tell me, in the given case, I received the advance payment in the month of April 2025 for supply of goods going to be made in the month of May 2025. What is the time of supply for me? Advance payment time of supply? Yeah? No, for supply of goods. Is clear? Huh? Only when I supply the goods, that time only time of supply like this. Is clear? Huh? Is clear? Huh? For supply of goods, amma. For supply of services, advance payment is a time of supply. So, when the payment paid by the recipient of the goods or services in advance, the supplier should make available to him one acknowledgement called as receipt voucher. Called as a receipt voucher. Sir, what happened in a case where supplier of service payment received in advance, time of supply taken place, GST already paid, before making the supply of services, the supply got cancelled. Are you referring my point? Getting my point or not? Hey mister, listen to me. Supplier of service receive the payment in advance, amma. Bharatwaj Institute receive the payment from the CMA student, CS student in the month of April 2025, for which they are going to provide the services in the January 2026. Service going to provide when? January 2026, but payment is in advance how much? When? In the month of April. Let us say 10 lakhs received with so many students, on which they pay the GST. By 20th of May, 1.8 lakhs they paid. Is clear? Huh? There are some students or all the students asking for refund because the services going to pay January 26, but the payment whoever paid asking the refund in the month of August 2025. Bharatwaj, honest supplier of service, entire amount refunded. By the time they notice it, what? They paid excess how much? Tax paid, no? From their pocket, how much? 1.8 lakhs. What is the fate of the tax paid means? No problem. That can ask for refund. Refund will be allowed. Now, when you paid advance payment, Bharatwaj issued to you receipt voucher. When you cancel the service before obtaining it, there is a refund voucher. For cancellation, refund voucher. For receipt in advance, receipt voucher. Get my point, sir? Difference between the receipt voucher and refund voucher. When the payment is in advance, the taxpayer should issue receipt voucher. When that is cancelled before supply takes place, the taxpayer should issue refund voucher. Here only I said, when the payment received, that time I do not know rate of tax. By default, any percent apply. I do not know place of supply. By default, interest supply. If I do not know place of supply, I do not know rate of tax. By default, what rate applicable? 18%. By default, is it intrastate or interstate? Interstate. IGST will apply. Further, very important point this one, which is section 31 subsection 3 clause F. You all of you are aware of that. RCM case, aware of that? Reverse charge mechanism for supply of goods, suppliers, we will discuss in the class or not? Reverse charge cases. In the case of reverse charge, supplier is a uninsured person, recipient is registered person. It is reverse charge. Who liable to pay GST? Recipient. Then the recipient bound to issue invoice. What is the time limit has been prescribed for the recipient to issue the invoice? 30 days from the date of receipt of the goods or services. Understand or not? This point I referred or not? Yes. Further. Very, very important terminology I am bringing here. What do you mean by revised invoice? My dear friends, this revised invoice, I will refer to you with the example. All of you will be answered. I referred all registration chapter for you or not? Have I referred registration chapter or not? Yes. Now, listen to me. Here, Mr. Vijay, being a trader in Chennai, crossed taxable turnover rupees 40 lakh on 40 lakhs on, let us say, today what date? 25th, 24 or 25th? 24, you are right. 24th April 2025. Is clear, my dear friends? That means in the financial year 25-26, for him, registration is mandatory or not? Registration mandatory or not? The poor unwanted calculation. Mandatory. So, registration is mandatory. Now, he should apply application for registration. So, which form? Excellent. GST? REG had to say, not R. R na return. REG na registration. So, apply form GST REG 01. Application for registration. Can you agree with me? Application for registration. Is clear for all of you? Now, once application for registration applied, time limit to apply 30 days from the date of need arises to go for registration. When the cross threshold limit 24th April. Therefore, from 25th April onwards, within 30 days. So, 5 days in the month of April. Balance 25 days in the month of May. So, up to 25th May, he has a time to go for registration, correct? And now, he applied for registration on, let us say, 1st May 2025. Don't say holidays are 1st May, May Day, that and all old days. May Day, holiday. But my network portal will work. GST network portal will work. You get my point? There is no holiday for the network portal. You can apply. When I applied? 1st May 2025 applied. Is clear? Got it? All are in order. all documents are verified, proper, acknowledgement also be got, REG02, authentication of Aadhaar has taken place, all are in order, success. Then department will issue certificate of registration within dash working days, 7 working days. So here department issued certificate of registration. On which date issued? Tell me. You tell me. Within 7 days only. Tell me which date you like. Tell me day. Empa padeppa. First of May and 7 days edde ba irke. First of May irke, second of May irke, third of May irke. May 8. 8th May you want. Okay, go ahead. 8th May 2025 granted. Tell me what is the certificate of registration? Form GST REG 06 is clear. Now here I am presenting certain points. Mr. Vijay is listen here, is a person. Is clear? Person. Before commencing business. Can you agree with me? Then Mr. Vijay is unregistered person. Unregistered person before crossing threshold limit for registration. Is clear? That means before commencing the business, person. Once he commences the business, unregistered person, till he reaches the turnover limit is the meaning of it. Is clear? Now, Mr. Vijay is taxable person. Taxable person. From which date means the date on which he crossed the limit. When he crossed the limit, there should be for registration. No. From 24th April 2025, he's called what? A taxable person. Now Mr. Vijay is registered person. From which date? From the date of obtaining certificate of registration. Tell me, 8th May 2025. Is clear, bro? Sir, one person I divide into 4. 1 as a person, 2 unregistered person, 3 taxable person, 4 registered person. If I say taxable person, the person liable to pay tax. If I say registered person, the person who has certificate of registration. Unregistered person, the person not obtained the GST number, or the GST number might have been cancelled. You get my point, sir? Are you getting my point or not? A person who holding GST certificate, form GST REG 06, called him registered person. The person liable to pay tax but not got registration, yet to get registration certificate, then taxable person. A person not liable to pay tax at all, therefore not obtain the registration, we call them unregistered person. A person like you and me, we are not providing any services or taxable services. Simple, we are individuals. or employees, students, in that case, we are only person. You get my point, sir? After having so much, I will ask you only one doubt. Answer to me. What is my effective date of registration in the given case? From which date onwards? Effective date of registration. The date on which I start my business, the date on which I cross the threshold limit for registration, the date on which I obtain the certificate of registration. From which date? Effective date of registration in the given example? 1st May. Why 1st May? Why 1st May? Because you apply for registration. Sorry, incorrect answer. 8th May. That means 8th May is the effective date of registration. If you say, what is the fate of my supplies from 24th April nande 7th of May work I have supplied the goods, sir. I am not liable to pay GST. Tell me, bro. I am liable to pay GST. Then how can you say effective date of registration 8th May? So incorrect. 24th April is the effective date of registration. You get my point, sir? So, from 24th April 2025 is effective of registration. Correct, Amma? Is clear? That means I am liable to pay GST from 24th itself. 24th April cross the limit of 40 lakhs. I have to start to pay the GST. Is clear?
Yes, sir.
Now listen, all of you. After having this platform, I am coming to our topic. Revised invoice. Tell me, revised invoice of my topic. Now, in the given case, Mr. Vijay supplied goods from 24th April 2025 to 7th May 2025. During that period, supplies liable to pay GST? Yes or no, bro? Liable to pay GST. But he cannot issue dash tax invoice. Why not able to issue tax invoice? Tell me, bro. You are the master, ma. If you understand, tell me. Yes, there you are. Perfect. Since registration not yet registration number, that is GST IN, goods and services identification number, not obtained is the reason. Correct? Now, if so, the law says, hey, Mr. Vijay, you opened the registration when? When you opened? 8th of May open registration number. Then you have to pay the GST for those supplies which you made during the period from 24th April to 7th May. Those supplies you liable to pay GST. Vijay says, sir, I already issued the invoice without tax invoice. No problem. Don't get tense. Vijay, what you have to do is you get back those invoices. Get back. And revise the invoices by showing tax separately in the invoice and issue the invoice. That is called what? Revised invoices. one can revise the invoice, but one cannot revise the tax returns under the GST. Is clear? So, here, Mr. Vijay has to issue revised tax invoices or revised invoices has to issue revised invoice. First of all, has to issue revised invoices for the period from 24th April 2025 to 7th May 2025 within 1 month. Very important, within 1 month from the date of obtained certificate of registration. That means 8th May you obtain, no? Count, that means next month before 8th June, within that time period, you have to issue revised invoices for those supplies you made from 24th April to 7th May. Get my point? Now my topic is what here? Revised invoice. To explain the revised invoices, I have been explained so much of story, thereby you never forget forever, even after you come to final. Is clear, my dear? Any doubt about this? No doubt? Shall I proceed further? Yes or no? Yes, you have to say. Further. Coming to debit note, credit note concept. Coming to debit note, credit note. I will explain to you, sir. What is there in the material is for your reference. What I am referring here is this. Seller. Who is seller here? Seller is Mr. Ram. Sold goods for rupees 1 lakh. Is clear? Is clear? To whom here? Say to Mr. Sham. Is clear? On 1st April 2025. Is clear? Is clear? GST 18% charge, which is how much? 18,000. Is clear? When the sale taking place? 1st April. For the given supply, what happened? Later on, Mr. Ram noticed price revision, sold for 1 lakh. Later on noticed price revision. As a result, total sale value is rupees 1,50,000, but issued what value? 1 lakh. On 1st May 2025, he has to issue one more. What a supplementary invoice. That is nothing but what a debit note. For rupees what value? For which GST 18%, which is 9. How much comes? 9,000. Is clear, bro? Understand? Have understood? Now the point comes into picture. Ram is a good person. Whatever the price revision, notice within 1 month. Within 1 month. If the price revision not noticed at all during the financial year 25-26, you get my point? In the next financial year 2026-27, he noticed it. In that case, can he issue that revised, namely debit note for revised price, debit note, namely supplementary invoice. In short, technically called debit note. Can he issue in the subsequent financial year? A question mark. You get my point? The law of the land here says the transaction took place which financial year? 25-26. For that financial year, if you suppose to issue a supplementary invoice in the name of debit note, you are allowed to issue in the subsequent financial year on or before 30th November of the succeeding financial year or the date of filing the annual return for the given 25-26 financial year in the subsequent financial year, among the two whichever is earlier, up to which you can avail this particular benefit of issue of debit note under GST law. If you did so, that supply is a valid supply to avail the ITC by the recipient based on the debit note. You get my point? Got my point? A debit note can be issued for a given financial year transaction in the subsequent financial year? Yes. So, here I will say that in the above case, such debit note can be issued earlier of the what? Following. What are they? 30th. Now which year? 2026 or tell me, or date of filing annual return, which is nothing but GSTR 9. For which year? For the year 25-26, return going to file annual return. Due date is 31st December 2026. That can be filed before the date also. Whichever date happens to be happen earlier, up to that time limit is available to issue debit note under GST law. You get my point? As a result, the recipient can avail the ITC on such debit notes. Not only tax invoice, but also a debit note issued by supplier is a valid document for availing the ITC by the recipient. Is clear, sir? When the credit note comes into picture, sir, Ram notice price revision downward. It is not 1 lakh, sir. It is only 80,000 by mistakenly overvalued, sir. In that case, Ram, here you issue what? Credit note. Same time limit to to issue credit note. Is clear, my dear friends?